Let me know when you're ready.
Neneh.
Yes, we're ready. We are outside here at the former anti-crime premises. As you can see, Neneh is here. She is about to make a statement. Global Homes trying to reclaim their property, which the court has ruled in favor on 2 occasions of recent. We are about to hear a statement from Neneh, the country representative of Global Homes. This place, as you can see in the back, was a hospital and used by the former anti-crime. The Green Boys also. Soon as she is ready, we shall hear her statement.
Let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, we are ready.
Oh. Good afternoon, you all, the media. Good afternoon, everybody watching us. And thank you for following. Thank you for coming here yet again. The battle continues. This is a statement from Home of Medical Missions, Global Home, to shed more light on certain misrepresented facts and update you, the citizenry, on recent developments. Home of Medical Mission began coming to the Gambia in the year 2000 with medical missions, mobile clinics, health education, children's programs, and community development. More than 4,000 people received medical care each year from the volunteers of Global Home. It was on this basis of service and for the purpose of providing long-term medical care for the Gambia and its people that it was deemed necessary to establish a permanent site. The allocation did come from the government of the Gambia. However, the allocated property had never been in the hands of the Gambia Tourism Authority, but it was a private property previously owned by one Masre Fall, who lived in Bijilo and wanted to also contribute her quota to what we were doing and offered her piece of land. She graciously gave her land up for a purpose greatly beneficial to the Gambian people. I will refer you to our press statement of November 2021 during our second arrest while in detention, where we provided more information in general, and we did on that statement. The timeline of events to when the legal battle commenced, it's all detailed in the same set press statement of November 2021. I will provide you with a copy for reference. But moving on to recent activities, I will provide you with all the following documents to make your own judgments. I have a copy of correspondences between Home of Medical Missions, Global Home, and the Gambia government prior to commencing the legal processes in court. I will also provide you with a judgment of 2019 from the magistrate court, which was the initial judgment to determine the ownership of this land, which the court determined that it legally belonged to Global Home. I will also provide you actions of the state after the judgment of 2019, which I can tell you they did not obey the judgment. Another judgment from the High Court revoking states' illegal actions. And when I say states' illegal action, after the judgment, which was served to the state still wrote to us, the organization, telling us that they were going to repossess the land. That action they took, which means they did not respect the court judgment. There are further actions from the state, and that is to write to us informing us that they have indeed revoked our lease. Then there was intervention from the Sheriff of the High Court in June. The Sheriff escorted us to the said land and gave us possession. and handed us the land because it was directed by the High Court that the land belongs to us, and it was the sheriff's responsibility to implement that action in June. But by then, the anti-crime was still in possession of this property. The Ministry of Interior engaged us and the IGP then to give them time so that their men will find a place to go and they will move out of the place. Finally, they did move, and a second time, the sheriff came officially to give us the property while it was empty. I want to remind you also of the state's action of our unlawful and illegal arrest of October 11, 2021, 2 days after we had a press conference here in the presence of the Sheriff of the High Court. There are judgments from the High Court, illegal arrest of court stated that the state violated our rights and thus their actions were unconstitutional. And the court awarded us each $100,000, myself and the staff who were arrested, and also $25,000 of court fees, of legal fees. On November 19, 2 days after we got a judgment from the court, we were rearrested, manhandled, harassed, embarrassed, and detained for 4 illegal days, paraded in different stations within West Coast and KM. We were only taken to court the 4th day, and we were granted bail by the court. We then again sued the IGP and the Attorney General because the officers that arrested us claimed they were acting under orders from the IGP and the Attorney General. And just last week, actually this past Monday, June 20th, there was another, June 13, the High Court in Banjul ruled that the actions, that state's action against us by arresting us and detaining us for 4 days was unconstitutional. It was illegal, it was wrong, it was unlawful, it was just not right. And the court was very, very, very disgusted by the state action the second time, and then awarded us another cost and stated on no uncertain times that should we be arrested on our legal properties for no reason. The court judgment stated that. Again, the court in trying to, the state, in trying to continuously to disobey the rule of law of the land, in trying to massage their egos, file a process in court asking the court to set aside the judgment. Set aside meaning to revoke the judgment that the court previously delivered to say the property belongs to Home of Medical Mission, Global Home. After proceedings from January till June, that was Monday the 20th, the court dismissed the application of the state, saying that it lacked merit and they did not prove their case beyond reasonable doubt, and that the property still belongs to Home of Medical Mission's Global Home, and we should continue with our work. That was just Monday the 20th. May I remind the AG of his utterances in his press releases of 11th of October and 20th of October 2021. That was during our first and second arrest. They released statement in both instances. The AG claimed that there were 2 litigations ongoing in court. Now I ask the AG, at the time, if there were litigation cases going in court, why did the OIC Secretariat, together with its purported investors, contractors, and engineers, make a site visit to the said property on the 20th of October? That is when there is a case still in litigation. I asked the IGP that question because I think he is a lawyer and he's supposed to be au fait with the law And as Attorney General, you're expected to uphold, respect first and foremost the law, because you are the custodian of the law. So we don't expect as citizens that you will be the very one to flout the law, to disrespect the law or orders of the court. I want to remind the AG that the state made an attempt by way of an application to strike out the suit on the representation that the property was one of those acquired by Yaya Jammeh and therefore a subject of the Janneh Commission, which was in fact false. That was not a statement of truth. The said application was dismissed by the court because it lacked merit. It did not have any substance. The state thereafter accepted land rent from Home of Medical Missions in the sum of $589,000 is $500. I just want you to connect the dots. You just went to court and said they don't own the property. They should not, it was given to them illegally, thus they should not have it. The court dismissed your application. You get in turn, come and say, pay your rates. And we paid, they received it. And they have not returned us that money until the day I'm talking to you right now. So that is corruption, it's fraud. If something does not belong to somebody, you're not supposed to charge them, collect fees from those people. Such a payment, we believe that such a payment, in fact, should have been waived because the organization was not in use of this property from 2010 to 2019 when we obtained a judgment in court. Why would you charge us when it was being used by the state and the state apparatus, but you collected money from us? May I be clear on this one, that the President, His Excellency Barrow, at a meeting at State House, revealed to us that they have received $87 million from a foreign investor to build a hotel on this property. That was the arrangement he had with his executive. And they will use it for the OIC, which was for 3 days, he said. And after the 3 days OIC, the investor will continue to use the property as a private hotel. This particular statement by the President was later reiterated by the government spokesperson Ibrahima Sankare, which we have on record, and it was tendered in court. It is unimaginable that as a lawyer, the Attorney General would state that the judgments or orders of the courts in favor of Home of Medical Mission are unenforceable. It is despicable for such a statement to come from a lawyer. It is a basic principle of law that all judgments and orders of courts are valid and subsist until set aside. Even lay people, I'm sure you journalists will agree with me on that. I'm not a lawyer, but I know that. I dare to say that contrary to the misunderstanding of the law by the Attorney General, all the orders obtained by the mission are enforceable, subsist to date. It has not been set aside. And nobody has the legal right, the authority to set aside a court judgment unless it's a competent court of same or higher jurisdiction. The Attorney General should provide you with the following answers with the following question. He said, Home of Medical Mission is a non-legal entity and cannot own land. Why did the state itself granted the lease to the mission? That is a question I want the journalists to put to the Attorney General. Why permitted the mission to develop the land and equip the facility with hospital equipment in excess of $1.5 million? And citizens of the Gambia were utilizing the medical facility in this Gambia under the state's watch. After the judgment of the Magistrates Court in 2019, Why accept land rent from the same mission, like I previously said, in the sum of $589,550? Why, which up to date, those monies, even though you still continue to obstruct us, even though you still continue to deprive us of our property, even though you still continue to use state apparatus as banana jackets to obstruct us, but you still have not refunded us our money to say this money was not supposed to be paid because the land is not yours. Why? We want to know. The Attorney General has said that they have transferred the property to a private investor to build a hotel for the OIC. How then can you do such as the AG? The OIC Secretariat, in a press conference on Monday, 20th June, the same day the High Court dismissed the state's application, responded to a journalist that the property is 100% state-owned and has been given to a private investor. The question is, how the state can transfer the said property to a private investor when they have not yet acquired the property from the mission? It's an irony. With my little knowledge of the law, I know that one cannot give what he or she does not have. Ownership of the property remains with Home of Medical Missions, Global Home, and therefore the state could not have legitimately transferred it to anyone else. The state, through the AG, continues to take the law in their own hands and blatantly disobeying and disrespecting the orders of the courts. If left unchecked, their distasteful actions will sure compromise the sanctity of our courts and renders the rule of law of this land futile. One known professor said, Professor Kamarongo, once said, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. It is also quite often said, health is wealth, and a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. I believe then, if health is wealth, the lack of health must be poverty. I now believe that you'll all agree with me. And I now know that you know why our country, the Gambia, is what it is today. We can only change our situations because it is only us who can. Global Home has brought solution to the Gambia and Gambian peoples. And we expect that the state should encourage, accommodate, support and partner with Home of Medical Mission to give Gambians what they need and what they deserve instead of try to frustrate our efforts. Home of Medical Missions is determined to work in with this government to make sure healthcare is top-notch in this country, to make sure our citizens will not die because there are no medicines in the hospitals, to make sure our citizens do not have to pay exorbitant money to cross the shores, to cross on ferries, rushing to neighboring countries to seek medical attention when we can have it in our country, when Gambians can do it for Gambians in this country. That's what we want to make sure. That is our commitment, and we are determined. We will not relent. We are relentless. We are resilient to ensure that happens. And we are all doing this because we are backed by the highest arbiter of the rule of law in this country, that is the courts of the Gambia, and nothing is higher than the courts. And we stay in the side of the law, backed by the courts. And thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. And of course, I have the documents in soft copy or in hard copy for your reference of anything, any utterances I've made here for you guys to be able to write your reports or report to the people that are watching.
Okay. I mean, you said the state asked you to pay rent, and that is about 500 and something thousand.
589,550. $550.
Which department of which institution in the country asked you to pay?
The director of lands. Lands, they gave us invoice. They gave us account number to pay it. We paid it from bank transfer to bank transfer. I have the receipt, the RTGS from our account to the accountant general, the treasury account. So that payment was done.
Now the state decided that, the state lands is given to a private, investor to build, as you claim, to build a, hotel for the OIC. What next for you now?
No.
What next? What action? What action are you going to take?
No. Like I said, we are obedient people. We obey the rule of law. And we go by what the courts tell us, because the courts, we have to put emphasis on that. The court is the highest arbiter of the rule of law. Nobody supersedes the orders of the court. So whoever they've given it to, let that person go and find out what to do. But as far as we are concerned, I'm talking to you, the land belongs to the organization, Home of Medical Missions, Global Home. And nobody has any right, any whatsoever, to do anything on this right. Anything that is done here, it should be under our approval. We should give you permission to do it. Otherwise, it is illegal, and you should be charged in contempt of court order. That is what should happen. And I think that's what are the things we have to put in emphasis. These men that you see here are illegally here. I did not ask them to come here. They say they are here by orders. Which orders, I don't know. So they're trespassing on my land. And that need to be put to them. They need to know. You guys, I invite you. I send you information and say, come. So you people should have been in here, not outside.
Okay. I have a question.
Yes, please.
We understand that the president is supposed to come here to do laying of the foundation stone, construction for this hotel.
Yes.
What's your response to that, the president coming
Well,
here?
for me, I still make it think it's a plan. Until it happens, I cannot comment on that. Even though they've made utterances that in July, the president is going to come to lay foundation stone. I don't know on what authority the president is banging on to come and perform such an action. But let's watch and see whether the president, who is supposed to protect all of us, who's supposed to be promoting the rule of law, who's supposed to be making sure the right thing is done, who's supposed to be making sure our judiciaries are functional, who's supposed to be making sure nobody compromises the sanctity of our judiciary. Let's see whether he himself will be in contempt, because if the president comes here, I'm not inviting him. It's not going to be under our invitation, and he also will be trespassing on this land, and he will be sued. He will be charged for contempt. We will make sure we go to court to file contempt proceedings against him, because nobody is above the law.
And another question I have to ask. We have seen that obviously this place is dilapidated, and some of your properties, like which we are seeing over there, cement and the rest of them are outside there for a very long time. What's your plan with them? Are you going to be able to bring them into your property, or?
We will continue to make attempts to continue our work. This is the smallest amount of money that you find out there. May I say, since when we got the first judgment in 2019, we shipped 2 40-foot containers of paint, tile, materials for work. All right? And when the anti-crime was still here and not leaving, we could not work when the anti-crime was here. Those things were in a storage, and all the paint got dry, the cement, white cement got dried, you know, some of the medical equipment, the ink exploded. So we have lost a lot of money and continue to lose money. Money that we could have invested in this property and benefit citizenry, benefit Gambians. Maybe the Attorney General would be one of the people who's going to benefit from this facility. He will not have to send himself or family members to Dakar or England or America. Think about that. Because you have it right at your doorstep. You have it right where all your family members will be able to be with you and show you love and care for you. Who knows? So it's like yange gas pax way hegna pax bobu non yo ya fa duga sa.
All right.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
You made mention of that Trump is willing to work with the government. Given that the state is ready to partner with you, are you going to give them a chance?
Well, and I think that's what partnering means. That's what collaborating means. That's what supporting means. We cannot work in isolation. That is not possible. And since day one, may I remind you that this organization were done and over with this place and Gambia. We concentrate in the sub-region, in other countries, other West African countries and East Africa. That's where the organization has been concentrating. It was this same government that sent a delegation to America and met the owners, the initiators of this place, and say, we are sorry. Everything that happened was Yaya Jammeh because Yaya Jammeh is bad. So please come back, because the good work you were doing, we are aware of it. It was very beneficial to the people of the Gambia, because we cater for the vulnerable. We cater for the low-income people. We cater for people who cannot go to even Dakar, much more America or Turkey or India. Those are the people that we cater for, because we know the Gambia, the poverty rate is high. The salaries are low. That's why people are sick. And that is what the organization focuses on. They came and met us. And we say, put it on writing. They wrote. That's how the communication started. The team came from America, Virginia, came to the Gambia and met with the officials. And we continue to meet. We continue to write. But when this idea of being dubious, being corrupt, and being greedy came into some of their minds, the tone started to change. The willingness started to drop, and we're starting to see resistance. And that's when we were advised and say, go to the courts and have the court legally give it to you. Because everybody believes that when the court speaks, nobody has a right to do otherwise but what the court says. That's what was the belief of all of us and our legal team and everybody else. That was the belief. So that's when we initiated court action in 2019.
Just to, can you clarify, there has been some rumors that the government has approached to, with a sum to pay. I've received some of that rumors from some people.
Well, since the initiation of communication from the organization and this government, I have been the liaison person. Nothing comes from America that does not pass through me. And nothing goes to America if it doesn't pass through me. They have tried to contact them directly, but they said, go through Neneh. Whatever letter through Neneh, whatever communication through Neneh, otherwise we will not listen. So I am not aware, as I speak to you, of any attempts from the government to negotiate with us or to compensate us, because there was a statement made by the AG in one of the press releases that they have tried to give us another piece of land. Now, I ask the question. You say we are not a legal jurisdiction to own property in this country, right? Why would you negotiate to give us another piece of land? May I ask that? Because that still continues to baffle me. We are not existing, so why would you negotiate with us? We are not existing. Why did you travel to America to talk to us? We are not existing. Why did you collect money from us? We are not existing. Why are you suing us in court, which you've lost? So, I mean, let's ask ourselves this question. If what they're saying is anything to go by.
And also the NHRC, in their report, did make reference to your case. I don't know if you've seen it. So they are obviously involved in this, because these police officers that we see here, they are all subject to oversight from the National Human Rights Commission. And they are stopping you from legally entering your property. So what's your response about this?
Well, just to say that we still have people that live in the era of 22 years of authoritarian rule. They have not gotten out of that shell because they don't understand what's up, which they need to. After the TRRC, I think everybody should have been awoke. Everybody should have been enlightened, and everybody should have been more loving to each other as Gambians, as people, as humans, than allowing themselves to be used. That's what I expect. But like you rightly say, the Human Rights Commission, a very reputable organization, did their findings, did their investigations. They consulted with the Attorney General. They consulted with the courts. They consulted with everybody that in one way or the other is involved in this or is a stakeholder. And they were able to determine that we were wrongfully arrested, the actions were illegal and unconstitutional, and our human rights were violated because we were humiliated, we were harassed, we were frustrated, we were manhandled, right? In the front of, it's on camera. The records are there. It's not a matter of I think or I'm assuming. It's there on camera. So that's why the Human Rights Commission came out with that report, and our issue was highlighted. I mean, if you haven't read it, I think it's page 24 and 25 of the report that was just out a week ago or 2 weeks ago. You might want to refer to that report and see what the Human Rights Commission has said. So again, the state has instituted an institution, but still continue to disrespect that same institution that they have set up to say they wanted human rights to be protected in this country.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate you guys so much. And the battle continues. We will not relent. So stay tuned while we continue to make sure we work towards helping each other, helping us Gambians have a good life, have a better life by bringing very good medical facility that will cater to our needs, because the country is in their need of a very good medical facility. We don't have it. Private hospitals are doing way better than what our tax and monies should provide for us. And we want to complement those efforts and make sure we don't go far to seek that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
But I want to ask the Gambians, hotel or hospital, what is your priority as Gambians? A hotel or a hospital, a medical facility? What is your priority? What is your need? What would you rather want? Let the Gambians choose. Let the Gambians say what is their interest in this. Thank you very much, and you all remain blessed.
Thank you.
So that was Neneh, Frida Gomez at their property with the.
I said 11 o'clock. You show up.
Some journalists have just come. They will probably try to get an exclusive. But this is the situation, as you can see. We are outside the former anti-crime property.
I mean, you all have my number. If you want a soft copy of the document, I'll forward it, or if you want hard copy.
So you can see, look at the situation.
Because I encourage we go green.
As you can see, she's surrounded by officers.
I'm encouraging we
There's
go
one right in
and
front of her face, staring her down.
If you want hard copy, I can give you right now. But if you prefer soft copy, I'll send it to you.
I want another one right now here.
What do you mean? What?
Hard copy.
You want hard copy?
Yeah, it's not right. You're statement right.
Oh no, not the statement. The statement I can forward it to you.
Okay. I can text you.
I mean the jointments and correspondences.
Yeah, if I can have one, it's okay. No.
You can send it to our WhatsApp. Yes. So the plan here is to apparently build a hospital. You can see the property in the background. It was built by Global Homes in the past. They had medical equipment inside. As you see, it was operating at one point as a hospital. But now, the Green Boys, came. As the Kerfatu guys, they have come late. They are about to get another exclusive. But just to give some background, we've been following this on Gainako. If you go on Gainako, we've been one of the main media houses that have been following this. So what we have found is that there have been a lot of statements and allegations. You see these people with their big cameras, they always try to come here and do these things, but it's all right. So just to give a background, obviously when after Global Homes started operating, providing medical service, what we do know is that the place was given to the Green Boys. The Green Boys occupied this place. After the change of government, the anti-crime unit was stationed here. They formed the anti-crime unit, and the anti-crime unit has been here using this place, arresting people, fighting crime. So now they've moved because of this issue. Actually, is why the anti-crime unit has moved. They received legal documentation ordering them to move. Anti-crime decided to move eventually after negotiating with Global Homes, which we are aware about this. They negotiated with Global Homes and ended up having to move. But the government seems to want to has other plans for this property. They want to build a hotel, a 100 million hotel, which is going to be a very big property.
I forgot to mention.
It's about to start.
There was in 2018, right? In 2018.
Where's the document?
The first thing we did was went to the courts, the Registrar General, and get something they call a caveat, right? A caveat, and you can look it up. What is a caveat? When the court gives you caveat, which means whatever they've given you caveat on, nobody has a right to touch it or do anything else unless you go to the court. So from the first instant, this caveat was saying, don't do anything on that property until the court decides. So nobody had rights to do anything from that onset. So we have always treaded on the right side of the law from inception to date. So with this caveat, it's only the court that can set it aside. So, but then they still continue to disrespect and ignore and flout everything that the court has done from inception to date. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Thank you.
She's passing over some court documents.
Anything that lacks there, let me know. I'll forward it.
Court documents. The gentleman from Point has a lot of work now. He's going to have to. Are you going to be able to read all of those ones before you write your story? Tell us. Okay. Interesting. All right. This is the situation.
Are you ready?
Journalists are not allowed to enter into this property. You can see journalists are camped outside on the fence line, where the officers are also lined up. The country representative for Global Homes is currently addressing the media. There has been statement wars between various Global Homes and the Ministry of Justice. They have been sending statements to each other.
Yes, thank you very much. Just to give you a brief recap.
Follow this.
You've been following because you were involved from the onset of when we were having resistance, all right, from the state, using the state apparatus to stop us from doing work on our property, right? And that this battle started from 2018, our first engagements with the state. But then the first judgment was in 2019 to say, it is yours, go ahead and continue what you were doing. So, but then at the time, the anti-crime unit were in occupants of this place. They were occupying this place. So when we got the judgment, the then IGP pleaded with us and the Interior Minister together said, give us time, because the sheriff was going to enforce the judgment and evict the anti-crime. When we had a meeting with them, they said, give us time. We will find a place to take our men, because it will be very embarrassing for our own men to evict our own men, because it was going to be the paramilitary police who were going to evict the police. We said, no problem. They gave us timeline. They have failed 7 times on the timeline that they've been giving us. Eventually, we said we will not do face-to-face meetings, we will do letters. So we write to them and remind them that this is the time you told us, we are waiting for you to move. They have never responded to our letters. They have never responded to the letter from the Sheriff Department. They have never responded from a letter to our legal team. But they continue to be an occupant. But when we put pressure, when the court gave another judgment, the Sheriff was left with nothing but to enforce the judgment. So then they said, okay, we will move. And yes, the IGP then, Yankuba Sonko, was very cooperative because he is a legal-minded person. He said to us, I cannot do anything when there is a court judgment. He said that to us. And since there is a court judgment, I will work to ensure the men are out of there. And that was since Mbalo and Kinte. Those people were out. You have Mahmoud Job, who was very cooperative. May his soul rest in peace. And then Sonko was still there. They were like, we will find a place to go. Give us time, give us time, give us time. Eventually, Mahmoud was not there. You have Sanya, but still Sonko, the IGP. Eventually, they found a place and moved the anti-crime unit. The place was vacant. The sheriff came the second time, the sheriff of the High Court came the second time to to say, now they have moved, this is your place, as per court order, continue doing what you're doing. That very day that the sheriff was here with us, uniformed men came to tell us we should not be here. And we said, no, we should be here. The sheriff told them I was asked by the court to bring them and hand over the property. Right? And then they came, reinforcement team, a whole truckload came. But somebody among them was very level-headed. And I think when the person reads, he understands. When we gave him the court documents, he read it, he understands that this is from the court. I cannot stop a court order, and the person that gave me order does not have the authority to stop a court order. They got in their car and left. They left us, we went ahead with our press conference in the presence of the sheriff. We started continue with our work. And then 11th of October, while we were here doing work, another truckload of uniformed men came and said they were giving executive order. Because when you ask them, who asked you, they say it's orders. Orders were orders from the top. I said, no, I don't deal with orders from the top. I deal with orders from the court. Because that's the right thing. So we went back and forth, but they insisted that we were supposed to leave. And I insisted that I was not going to leave under no uncertain terms unless they bring me something from the court that said something different from what I have, which they were not able to do. Eventually, they were given orders to arrest us. So they arrested all of us, myself and the staff that were here, and taken the parade off. A whole day, that was the 11th of October, from Gambia to, Keraba. From Keraba, Brusubi, Keraba, Kanifing, Banjul, Kanifing. Until today, they have not taken us to court to prosecute us for those charges, because we were charged for trespass, we were charged for idle conduct, some bogus charges. And may I tell you also, they changed those charge sheets 6 times. 6 times they were changing the charge sheets. Eventually we said we were not going to sign any charge sheet. That was our arrest of October 11th. Then we were detained and finally released on bail about 8 o'clock at night. We kept on going on reporting, and then they never took us to court. We, in turn, sued them in the High Court. And then November 17, there was a judgment to say from the High Court that the arrest was illegal, that the arrest was wrong, and our rights were violated as per the constitution of the land. On the 17th of November, we came here right from the courts. On the 18th, we came here. On the 19th, we came to continue work. We were rearrested on the 19th, on a Friday, and detained for 4 days, and taken to court on the 22nd of November. And the court granted us bail. That matter is still ongoing, but it has been overtaken by events. But we did not wait. We went back to the High Court and filed fresh charges of unlawful arrest. The matter continued from November 2021 until on 13th of June, that was last week Monday, the court ruled that again, the second time, our arrest is unlawful. It's wrong. It's unconstitutional. Our rights have been violated again the second time. How can the court say the arrest is unlawful, illegal, when it is not our property? Because they were charging us for trespass. They were charging us for being idling on a land that is not ours. But the court, according to evidences and document standard, was able to find that the property belongs to us. Thus, we had a right to be here. And the people who were not supposed to be here were the people who arrested us. And those are the ones who should be charged for trespass. A second judgment for the arrest. On Monday, the 20th, the state filed in January for the court to strike out, set aside the judgment of 29th of June 2020 from the High Court to say the property is out. And that was the second judgment. Remember, we had first judgment in September of 2019. In June of 2020, we had another judgment from a superior court. But they still continue to disobey the court judgments and orders. This is the Gambia we live in. The people who are supposed to protect the rule of law are the ones who are flaunting it. But only when it favors them. When it's on their side, the law is the law. But with against them, the law means nothing. And that is what we need to stand our foot and fight and make sure it doesn't happen. We said never again. Never again should mean never again. Dufi amat, my never again. We cannot just say it literally by the word, but by actions, we're doing something else. If we accept such, which means we are all accomplices of flaunting the law. We are all accomplices of sabotaging the rule of law. So this was Monday. Monday, right after the courts, we were here. Right? And Tuesday. Wednesday, I didn't come. Thursday, today, I planned the press conference. Right? Came and met 2 officers at the gate. I greeted nicely. I said, can you please open the gate? I want to put my car in. He was like, Dofiduga. I was like, sorry. I got out the car. I was like, what do you mean? Did it? Can Dofiduga? I was like, why? And he was like, why? I was like, what do you mean why? He said, why? I said, I have orders from the court to come here. Where's the order? Where's the order? Show me. I said, okay. I removed the file and pulled the court order, the judgment, and said, this is it. Read it. But I believe he did not understand a word on that paper. That's what I believe, because anybody that reads the paper and sees that it's from a judge of the High Court, you will obey and abide. That's what a bona fide, a patriotic citizen, somebody with 5 common sense, somebody who understands, that's what you will do. So he gave me back the paper and start calling and calling and calling. They tried to stop me. I said, no, if anybody should go out, you should go out, because I did not invite you here. And that's the right thing. You came here without my permission. You came here without my authority. So if anybody should go out, you should go out. They cannot stop me. So I came in, they stopped the journalists and said they're not going to come in. And then they made a call, and you have a reinforcement team that came in. Some of them are reasonable, they're talking to me like a human being. But some of them, if I allow them, they will treat me like an animal, which I am not. I'm a human being, a Gambian, a citizen with rights to be respected.
What will be the next step for you? There's already a court order, and it seems like they are not still obeying. What is the next step for you people?
Well, that is for the courts and the law of the land to handle. As far as I'm concerned, the court gave me a document and said, go and do your business. And I will continue to do my business as the court dictated, as the law of the land, as the Constitution has mandated me, has given me. That's what I will continue to do. I will be a fool if I should listen to anybody else apart from what the court says, because I'm a citizen. I respect the court. And I was taught to understand that the court is the highest arbiter of the rule of the land, nobody else.
Who are you going to blame for this? Because we understand these people are giving orders, and the orders they're saying...
Illegal orders. Can we put emphasis on that?
Okay, as you said, illegal orders.
No, because you know that
so
the property belongs to us. You have seen the court orders.
Yes, I've
right?
seen them. Now,
as a journalist. So you know whatever anybody does, apart from me, it's illegal, unlawful.
So now,
these orders... on that?
Yes, now you've saying it is illegal, and then there is of course a court order. Of course, it is illegal. They said that the property belongs to you. Who are you going to blame for this? Do you have people that you think are fighting to get this place?
Yes, I do.
Who are these people?
I do, starting from the President, Adam Barrow, because he is aware. We had a meeting with Adam Barrow, but what he told us is they already have an agreement with a private investor who has given them $87 million to build a hotel to use for 3 days OIC. After the OIC, the investor is going to continue to use the property. That is the President. And that was reiterated, reinforced by the spokesperson, Sankare. The same message. And they have also said it. I mean, Ahmadba signed $100 million concession thing with Imo Land. Abdoulaye Cham, a Senegalese, who does not even have an office in Senegal. You trace him by phone or email, but there is not a registered office in Senegal of such a company that is about to enter into a deal of $100 million. Is that not irony? Now, Monday, we saw the secretariat. They're not talking about Imo Land, they're saying Imo Gam. Things have changed. Imo Gam, instead of Imo Land Sol, now it's Imo Gam. Things have changed. So we need to watch their actions and see how they're trying to manipulate the people. We are 100 steps ahead of them. Abdoulaye Cham came here with for a sightseeing, with some supposedly engineers, architects or whatever. We wrote to them, the organization, we wrote to them. We wrote a petition to the Human Rights Commission. We wrote to OIC JIDA. We wrote to all the embassies that have bilateral tie, diplomatic relations with the Gambia. We sent a letter, our lawyer has sent a letter to those so-called partners, the engineers, the architects, to say, this is a private property, stay off. If we see you on the land again, we will sue you. And those people have stepped aside. But the OIC, Gambia Secretariat, still continue to manipulate the people that this is Gambia owned, the state owned, and they were going to continue. We are aware, our organization, that every land is owned by the state. But when it is allocated to you, they can repossess by following procedures and processes set by the Constitution, first and foremost, which is the highest law, by the Land Act. There are procedures that you should follow. And if you don't follow those procedures, you have no moral authority whatsoever to take over somebody's land. And first and foremost among those guidelines is you cannot take a community property for an individual use. It is illegal. It is undone. It is unjust. You can take an individual property for a community use because community interest supersedes an individual interest. That's what the Act said, first and foremost. And that is one criteria you need to fulfill before you even attempt. And when you fulfill all the other criteria, then you can go through a process, a channel. You cannot just forcefully take it. The Constitution protects everybody. Everybody on this land, the Constitution protects you and protects your right to movement, your right to association, your freedom of speech, your right to a place to live. You are protected as a citizen, not only Gambian, but as a resident, as a citizen. And we are aware of that, and we are trying to tread by the right side, following the laws of the land, unless the law has changed. If it's changed, we'll be more than happy. If the court says otherwise, we'll be more than happy. Again, we're not fighting. We're just trying to do the right thing. We're trying to make sure we protect the law. We do the right thing. Because if the court says something, you do something else, which means you are against the courts. And we don't want to be held, be a victim of doing what the court did not ask us to do. We don't want to be victims of that. And that's why we are still staying by what the court says. The state has just Monday lost a case from the courts. For God's sake, find somewhere else. You have so many lands out here that you can use. You have so many hotels that are lying because the people don't have the money. COVID has hit so hard. People don't have money. Their hotels are dying. Help Gambians. So many hotels in here are owned by Gambians. Help Gambians. Invest in their hotels. Rehabilitate it. And let it be up to that standard, 5-star hotel, so that people can come here. That's what governments do to help empower their citizens, to help businesses, to help local businesses. That is what responsible governments do. But you don't go bring foreigners, empower them, give them land, give them places to build, and thrive over your own citizens. No less responsible government do that. And that's what we are making sure that happens.
Thank you very much.
We want to bring healthcare to the doorstep of the people. The monies that they've taken, let them give it back and allow us to be. Let sleeping dogs lie. And let's all try to respect the rule of law. The people who are supposed to uphold, to protect the custodian of the law, the Attorney General is the one, first and foremost, flaunting the law, disrespecting court orders, and giving orders for the uniformed men to be used as potato jackets, against us, the citizens, illegally, unlawfully. Because the Police Act says, obey lawful, legal orders. I read it yesterday night. Legal orders. It says nowhere else that obey any order. No, it did not say that.
Just about that, right now, the court has ruled, as you've said, and repeatedly in favor of global homes. And the only thing that is stopping you, obviously, are these security officers here. Have they identified themselves? Do you know which unit they are coming from? And are you considering even taking action against... I will never get tired as far as the judiciary is there, right? I mean, we did it. We did it. Once, we did it twice. Everybody that was on site, we sued them. And they had to answer to the suit. And we will repeat the same thing.
Every time anybody obstructs me, I make sure you're identified. That's why I always invite the media when we have engagement when I come here, because I know what is there. I am very, very fully aware of what is underneath and what is happening. So that's why I make sure everything is on record. So anybody that obeys illegal orders, you face the consequences. We have seen it in the TRRC. We were given orders, but then when you were sitting on that seat facing Esafal or Hadidande or Horajagay or Sagar, you were not there with your boss. You were there by yourself answering questions. And you were shamed. And the whole world sees that you are somebody who is not patriotic to Gambia and Gambians, because you were used to trample on the rights of your fellow citizens and harass them and kill them and torture them. And the same thing is being repeated.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we are at the end here. The press conference is over. She's been under the sun for a long time now. Finally, she's got some water to drink. Surrounded by officers, but still she has delivered her press statement, and I think now the journalists have done their work, although we've been stopped from entering the premises. As you can see, we'll be definitely writing a publication on this today without a doubt. We've been following this. If you go on Gainako right now, you will see fact-checking the Ministry of Justice statement. We already fact-checked them one time. We might have to do another fact-check again to fact-check what they are saying. You see, she was having to stand there so she can talk to the media that was over this fence line. In between her and the fence line, you are seeing the officers. Statement has been delivered and she is leaving or coming. Well, she still has her things there. She has been allowed access personally, but her vehicle and the rest have not been. And I think we're at the end now. We are going to close this live stream, but please watch out for our publication, detailed investigation publication coming very soon. We have court documents, we have video, we have numerous judgments from the court, and we have statements from the Ministry of Justice trying to debunk the whole thing, which they have clearly failed to do. We have a trove of evidence to go through. We will go through them. We will publish a detailed investigation on this. So stay tuned and follow to Gainako. Stay blessed.